Hey everybody, this is Jason Creel's The Lawn Care Life. Today, I'm going to teach you 10 weeds in your lawn. Now, you may be a lawn care professional, maybe you mow lawns and you just want to know a little bit more about the weeds. Maybe you're a homeowner and you're just like, what's the name of that weed? Or maybe you just need to know what the weed is so that you'll know how to control it. Because if you can't, if you don't understand the name of the weed, you might not be able to look up what products to use to kill it. So in this video, I'm going to show you the weeds. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to control control the weeds and give you some tips on weed control in general, and talk to you about some of the products that I use, and whatever level you are on with your lawn care knowledge, hopefully this video will be helpful for you. Today's video is sponsored by Graham Spray Equipment. You can see my spray rig in the back. I've got a 400-gallon split tank on the back of my truck, and that's what I use to go out there and blanket the yards with the pre and post emergent. So if you're in the weed control and fertilization business looking to get a spray rig, I would encourage you to check out grahamse.com or give those guys a call. I'm filming this in the winter time, so we're dealing with mostly cool season weeds in this video. Now, let's understand a few things. Cool season weeds, these are weeds that are going to be germinating typically in our area. I'm in Alabama. These germinate in the fall. So the strategy to control most of these in the lawn is to put out a well-timed pre-emergent application before they germinate. So in our area, again, I'm in Alabama, if we can get our pre-emergent down sometime in September, maybe into October, before you start feeling those real cool nights, before it starts really feeling like fall. And again, I know this may be different for different regions. It gets colder, obviously, up north quicker. But anyway, for us, September, October, you get your pre-emergent down, you're going to kill a lot of these weeds before they're ever seen in the lawn. It's going to kill them, right when they germinate, and the pre-emergent knocks them out. So you talk about basically preventing the weeds in the sense that you'll never actually see them in the lawn. But this situation, you can see out here, pre-emergent was applied out here. There's virtually no weeds. I mean, there are a few, but you can't really see them. They're not that noticeable. It's just Bermuda grass. Over on this hillside, it's almost all weeds. People's like, oh man, his grass is so green. I was like, well, his grass isn't green, his weeds are green. So, all right, so that's the main way we're going to control them. So let's get to learning the names of these weeds. Starting off right here, and it's good. We've had some warm weather lately, so some of these are actually flowering, even though it's early and very cold today. This is called Henbit. You see the purple flower, and seems like the camera's doing pretty well today, so you can see what the leaf looks like in that purple flower. Sometimes you'll go to, in our area, about February or March, the yard will be almost completely purple, and a lot of times it's Henbit. Again, we're talking about controlling it with a pre-emergent application in the fall, so I use Spectacle Flow. That's what a lot of professional companies use. Prodiamine is another option, but you want to get that out before the weeds germinate. But if you already have it, so now what I'm doing in January, I'm coming in, I'm spraying Prodiamine as a pre-emergent, trying to keep crabgrass and other summer weeds out of the lawn. But at the same time, I'm mixing with it some other products. So I mix a product called Triplet, which is a three-way product from New Farm, and another product called atrazine. Now, atrazine is a restricted use product, not available for sale for homeowners to my knowledge. But you mix those together with a surfactant, and that triplet and the atrazine are going to do a great job of knocking out this Henbit. And that's to be the case for a lot of the broadleaf weeds that I show you today. So even if you have them, like I said, I'm spraying right now, I'm trying to do a couple things. I'm trying to prevent crabgrass and summer weeds with the Prodiamine, but I'm also trying to knock out any of these cool season weeds that are in the lawn. So you spray this, it would definitely die. Now, weeds die slower in the cold weather. And when the hotter it gets up in the 70s in March and stuff, that they'll die much faster. All right, so I'm gonna hang on to this because I want to compare it with number 2 on our list. Number 1, Henbit. Number 2, and you're gonna say, Jason, sometimes you think these look the same. So this is the Henbit. Look at the shape of the leaf, and look at this one. I always think it looks like if you're playing cards, like spades. So this one's called Purple Deadnettle. Now the flower is very similar, but you can see the leaf is different, and I don't know how to give you much better shot than that comparing the two side by side. But this is the Purple Deadnettle. Okay, so look at the leaf, much different. So the Purple Deadnettle If it's a spade in a game of cards, then I think the henbit, which is here, looks more like clubs. So clubs for the henbit, spades for the purple dead nettle. All right, now let's go to one of the trickier ones, because right here in the same area, like I said, if I spray a yard with triplet and atrazine and put the prodiamine there, it's gonna knock out the henbit, it's gonna knock out the purple dead nettle. But our number 3 on our list, it's not gonna knock out. And it's this weed right here, and you can see it's just kind of mats up and it's really taking over in this area. This is called field madder. Field, F-I-E-L-D, madder, M-A-D-D-E-R. You can Google an image of it if you want, but it will also put out a purple flower later, and it's a tough one. So when sometimes your fall pre-emergent may not control all of this, and you end up getting some. And when I'm spraying a yard, I'm blanket spraying the yard, trying to, you know, put out my pre-emergent, post-emergent. And if I see field matter, I know I need to go back in and spot treat that with something else. So a lot of times I'll use a product like Change Up, or I'll use a product like Blindside, and those will typically knock out field matter. But the triplet and atrazine do not seem to do an effective job on it. All right, number 4. Clover. Now sometimes the white clover really bunches up and becomes noticeable in the lawn. I've got a video that I can put a link in the description for, where I tested like 3 or 4 different products on clover and show you how to control clover in your yard. It doesn't like the hot weather, so sometimes it'll lay down and be not as noticeable in the summer. But anyway, in the spring is when clover typically goes crazy. A lot of products will control clover. Metsulfuron is an inexpensive product we can use to control clover. Change Up, the triplet, you know, all those things will typically do a pretty good job on the clover. Number 4, wild geranium. Again, this is one of the broadleaf cool season weeds, and it's going to be easily controlled along with the other broadleaf weeds with the application I've already mentioned. All right, what about this one? A lot of times people refer to them as onions in your yard. Got wild onions. I believe in my yard, at least, most of the time it's wild garlic. And the way you can tell, a lot of times, the way I understand it, the garlic is hollow, and that's hard to see right here, but it's actually a hollow leaf. So this is garlic. If it's a solid leaf, it's an onion typically. These metsulfuron I mentioned, if you got a lot of onions, I blanket the yard with the metsulfuron, which is a real inexpensive product, just at 1/4 of an ounce per acre. So it's a tiny amount to cover an entire acre. You got to be careful when you're mixing that to make sure you're just putting 1/4 of an ounce per acre. If you're just spot treating, Blindside is a good product. It has metsulfuron in it as well as sulfitrazone, and it will knock out the onions and the garlic. They don't die quickly, but I found that if you spray them, it may take a while, and oftentimes the following year you'll have far less to deal with. So wild garlic, wild onions, they look very similar. I believe this one is wild garlic. Look at the size of that one. That's huge. Just compare with my hand here, bigger than my hand. Okay, I think this is some type of thistle, T-H-I-S-T-E-L-E. You know, again, put it categorized with all the other broadleaf weeds. You can see beside it, we got the what for your review? Purple dead nettle. Remember, it looks like a spade. What's that one? Carolina geranium. Pop quiz on Monday. Y'all got to be ready. Yeah, right. All right, number 6. There's no big yellow flower to give it away, but this one is a dandelion. Okay, dandelions can be a little bit tough, a little bit slow to die, but again, most of your broadleaf herbicides. And when I say a blanket in a yard, like I'm blanketing the yards with the triplet, atrazine, the prodiamine this time of year, it's going to get most of these. You don't want to go in and blanket a yard with these expensive, more expensive products. You know, if it's a weed that application, those are all fairly inexpensive products. If those products won't kill it, then you go, you know, breaking out the specialty products. A lot of times, depending on what kind of grass you got, but with warm season turf, you know, I'm using Celsius and Change Up and Blindside, products like that. If this is confusing to you or you're interested, on lawncarelife.com is my website. I do have programs. There's a weed control cheat sheet, there's weed control documents, there's pricing charts programs, lots of stuff you know, for sale at lawncarelife.com. There's even a weed control fertilization academy if you want to get into weed control fertilization business. So I understand if you're thinking, Jason, I don't know what to spray, when to spray. All of it's laid out for you on lawncarelife.com in some of these packages, the weed control, fertilization, letters and documents, things like that. Number 6. What is this one? Hairy Bittercress. I like that name, Hairy Bittercress. See if I can find you one that's blooming later on. Here's a dandelion. You can see here, it looks like it's about to put out a flower. All right, 6 there. There's a big, we did the Carolina Geranium. There's a much bigger one just here reviewing as we walk, but I've got some more over there. So that's 6. Let's see what else we can find in the yard. Here's a hairy bittercress with a little bitty white flower right there. You see that? All right, so that's the hairy bittercress. I am freezing out here. It's supposed to go down to like 21 degrees, and that's, at least for us in Alabama, that's still considered cold. All right, I got another little hot spot over here where I keep some weeds. I'm gonna show you a few more. So what have we done? 6 so far, so let's see what else we can find. All right, maybe this would be a good example here. So I showed you the wild garlic. I bet you this is an onion right here. Look at that, it's just a bigger, big stalk. I'm gonna break it and see if it's solid. Yeah, so I break it and it's a solid stalk. So that's an onion. I guess you can smell it too, and you kind of tell if it smells like garlic or like onion. Anyway, so wild onion's gonna be number 7. Look at that, there's the Henbit in full bloom there. What about this one right here? You know that one? Chickweed. So again, if you spray and it's cold weather, don't be discouraged if stuff doesn't just wilt up and die overnight, okay? It takes longer when the weather's cold. Just follow the label. Don't go crazy on your application. All right, so there's your, that's a classic example of the hairy bittercress there. All right, so we've done 8. We got the onion was 7, and then the chickweed was 8. All right, what about this one here in the gravel? This is Poa Annua, P-O-A-A-N-N-U-A. Let's see what the seed head looks like for the Poa. And it'll really take over your yard. Now on the Poa, it's a tough one. Oh, here's some that's got the seed head. Real obvious there. It's tough. It's one of those, it's frustrating when you're mowing your grass and you got the Poa. It's so flimsy, it won't hardly cut the grass with it. And you'll have yard that's just eat up with Poa. That's one of the reasons that we use spectacle flow in the fall, is try to keep the Poa out. Sometimes you still get it. As far as post-emergent treatments for Poa, you can use stuff like Revolver, Katana, Celsius, Tribute Total, Negate. I mean, there's several options. Again, don't be slow to die. I mean, you want to try to get ahead of it with your pre-emergent if you can. Poa, it's a tough one, and sometimes if you don't, I went to some yards the other day that I actually sprayed with spectacle, but because it just thin, shady yards, real thin Bermuda, they still had a lot of Poa. Now, if the Bermuda's nice and thick, use spectacle and simazine, stuff like that, you should be able to keep most of the Poa out of the yard. All right, number 10, I'm gonna go with this one. Cudweed. C-U-D, weed, cudweed. Okay, should be easy control, maybe slow to die, but hopefully you can knock it out with no problem. Hey, appreciate you watching the video. Go check out the resources, lawncarelife.com. There's over 800 videos on the channel. If you haven't subscribed, I'd encourage you to do so. And thanks for watching.